Good evening, class 11th. So, after finishing our chapter revision, from which chapter we just finished after revision, that is biomolecules. And I hope now at the end, picture of biomolecules is clear to every one of you. If still it is not clear, then I will request there is a in video section. I will make the playlist also. There in otherwise in video section there is revision, revise and practice. You will be able to find that all the topics from biomolecules I have quickly revised there with the lots of tricks, right? So here I am going to now start with the revision from our chapter we are taking, that is photosynthesis, right? Because cycle, photosynthesis and respiration, they are two chapters which are again important, very technical chapters, in which many students they do very simple mistakes, I will say, right? Although we just by the name we know that, oh, it is a very simple process, but you people also know that how many complicated pathways are there in this chapter. So please, I request every time that if you are reading with me, that time take your time, free from yourself, keep yourself free from all other things, and just listen to then all the things, all the points very carefully. Only then it will give you the productive what information at the end. Otherwise these videos they will not help you out much. And for detail you can go to our videos from the photosynthesis chapters which are already in my playlist, right? So let's quickly start with the revision of photosynthesis in higher plants. Photosynthesis, we just finished our biomolecules and we discussed their metabolic pathways. And in metabolic there are two steps, anabolic and catabolic, right? And I gave you one simple trick also, that sometimes students they don't they are not able to remember which one is anabolic, which one is catabolic. I gave you one shortcut also, A C, anabolic, and C means that complex structures are formed. So जब structure कोई form होता है वो भी complex, it means you need energy. So photosynthesis also, it is not breaking process, it is a making process in which you make your carbohydrates. So, and it photosynthesis is what? It is a physiochemical process. Physical reaction is there, chemical reaction is there, as well as it is a anabolic process, by which it is a physico-chemical process. This word is very important because in a few minutes we are going to solve our MCQs. Then you will able to know that why this word is so important. It is physico-chemical process. It is not only chemical process, it happens in the green leaves of the plant. So it is both physico-chemical process by which, who use light energy? Anyone can use light energy? No, specifically green plants bache use light energy. Why they use light energy? Why do they need light energy? Because they are going to convert it into chemical energy. Which energy? For making your organic compounds. Which organic compound is formed here? Glucose, C6H12O6. So raw material, many times I told you that raw material in photosynthesis is carbon dioxide and water. And the chlorophyll and sunlight, they are going to help out these two raw materials to form food in the plants. Now many students they feel that these experiments, these scientists, they are not important at all. Why to remember so many scientists? Why? There is no need. कौन सा क्वेश्चन आने वाले हैं इनमें से? But you are wrong. If you think like that, then you are wrong. Many times, many times, these are very, very important scientists, because every scientist is mentioned in your NCRT. And if it is mentioned in our NCRT, very, very much percentage is there that they are definitely going to be asked in your NEET examination as well as in your school examination also. Okay, first scientist we are taking here, Priestley, Joseph Priestley. Joseph Priestley in 1770. Write down, take out your NCRT page number 203 and take it out and write down the important lines there. What was the Joseph Priestley was the aim? What was the observation? He gave us the idea about the air, or he discovered actually your oxygen. He described the role of air in the growth of green plants. He observed that he did this bell jar experiment, in which, as you can see, that in the second time, in the B part, in the B bell jar, the mice died after some time, as well as this candle extinguished. So he observed that in there was candle burning in the bell jar, but after some time this extinguish, बुझ जाना जिसको बोलते हैं, वो खत्म हो गई. But in the C part, when he put now a plant, it was mint plant, and then he observed that mouse also survived. Sorry, I was saying mice. Mouse also survived, as well as candle was also burning. So basically in A and B, mouse fainted after some time, but in C and D, mouse and candle, they both survived. So basically after putting the plant, he gave the conclusion that plants, they are using the air, whatever air is removed by breathing animal. Who was the animal? Mouse, as well as from the candle. So plants, they were using that air and they were releasing gas, which was later on called as oxygen. So Priestley did this experiment to show us that there is air restored by the plants, which is removed from the breathing of animal as well as from the candle. Then after this experiment, this is now I am going to talk about second experiment. Okay, listen to me very, very carefully, because we are going to solve questions. Priestley with the Ingenhouse in 1799, 1799, he carried out experiment. Now Priestley, he worked with the oxygen. Basically he worked with the air, which was having oxygen. Then Ingenhouse was main aim was to show the importance of sunlight to the plants. So he said that plants, they are purifying the air which is released by breathing animals or burning candles. So he used some aquatic plants and he kept them in the sunlight, very bright sunlight. So sunlight कब मिलती है? During daytime. Definitely you will get sunlight during daytime. In the bright sunlight, he observed that small bubbles, they were coming out, or they were formed around green plants. Now he did not observe the bubbles during the night. So what he concluded? He concluded that first thing, sunlight is very important to the plants. Second thing, he concluded that these bubbles, they are our oxygen, and only green plants in the presence of oxygen, they are able to release oxygen. So basically green plants in the presence of not oxygen, in the presence of sunlight, they are able to release oxygen. So who explained the importance of sunlight? That is the Igne House. And who explained the importance of oxygen? That was your Priestley. Okay, I think these two scientists are clear. Then comes von Sachs, Julius von Sachs. He told us that production of glucose is responsible for the growth of the plants, and it was observed that during growth of plants there was the glucose production. So he concluded that glucose is made in green part of the plant and stored as starch. So who gave us the importance of the starch? Who basically talked about the starch and glucose? That was your von Sachs. One more time, who talked about the sunlight? Igne House. Who talked about the oxygen? That was your Priestley. Now there was very interesting experiment that was performed by Engelmann. Engelmann, he used the prism and he illuminated light basically to transfer it into the different compartments. He used prism basically, and then he passed this light into the various compartments. You know that when you pass the light through the prism, then it split out into the 7 colors. In this way, he illuminated green alga. What did he use? Green alga. What is the name of the alga? If you will look at your page number 204 of NCERT, you will get the answer. That green alga is Cladophora. He used algae which is Cladophora, and he placed it into the medium, or I will say suspension of a solution of aerobic bacteria. Green alga was used by Engelmann, that is Cladophora, and he placed it with the aerobic bacteria. Purpose, he used this bacteria because he wanted to know that what is the actual site from where oxygen is getting released. So bacteria, he observed that because he was using prism, right? So he observed that most of the bacteria, many of the bacteria, they were observed in the colonies at two wavelengths of the spectrum. What were those wavelengths? Red A region and the blue light of the spectrum. So he observed that these are the two places where in which maximum photosynthesis was happening. So it was T.W. Engelmann who first time described and talked about the absorption spectrum of chlorophyll and action spectrum of photosynthesis. But still till now we were not able to write down the equation. It was given that CO2 plus water in the presence of light, they are giving a compound and oxygen is released. But nobody told us till mid 19th century that who is doing what. What is water doing here? What is CO2 doing here? Who is forming this compound? So then von Neil, his full name was Cornelius von Neil. He added that photosynthesis is very much light dependent reaction. He said hydrogen which is from your basically water, it form oxidizable compound. Okay, he said oxidizable compound means oxygen is formed from your water and carbon dioxide and reduces carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is getting reduced. Reduce का आपको पता है what do you mean by reduced? Gain of electrons. So carbon dioxide is getting reduced and forming carbohydrate. So then there was this equation which is given, that H2A we are writing here for the water basically, that this is releasing oxygen, then this organic compound is getting formed and water is released. So he said that oxygen is released from the green plants. So he talked about basically chemical equation of photosynthesis, and he gave us the idea that it is the water from which your oxygen is released. बच्चे दो चीज़ें मैं बताने वाली हूँ which are going to play a very helpful role to solve many objective questions. It is water from which oxygen is getting released. No at all at CO2. CO2 is reducing and forming our C6H12O6. So oxygen, it is releasing from the green plant, it comes from water, not from CO2. And after that correct equation which is given, that was 6 CO2, 12 water, C6H12O6 plus 6O2 plus your oxygen. You can balance this equation, right? So plus oxygen will be there. So that was the equation which was given after the one nail experiment. If you are clear with every term, then please solve these questions and try to answer them. This time I will not give you answer. I will definitely check your answer if you will mention them in comment section. Don't worry about that. I never miss anything. If someone of you answer me in the comment section, I will definitely give the answers back. Photosynthesis is an important process for life on earth. Read all the options. Primary source of all food on earth, responsible for the release of oxygen, only natural process responsible for utilization of sunlight, or all of the above. I have given the answer, but you please try to give your answer by your own. See, that is what we do. First we read, revise, and then we solve. That is the correct strategy to master any topic. It is not only the reading part which will help you out. Practice. The process carried out by green plants by which they synthesize organic compound is photosynthesis. It is which process it is. The main purpose of photosynthesis is, so please read it and tell me the main reason. Which one of the following organism does not evolve oxygen during photosynthesis? किससे ऑक्सीजन रिलीज नहीं होती है बच्चा? कौन नहीं रिलीज करता है इनमें से ऑक्सीजन? In an experiment, a leaf was covered with black paper and was exposed to light. On testing these leaves for starch, it was seen that uncovered part turned blue-black. What do you conclude from it? This is only our 10th experiment, but you can easily answer it. In half-leaf experiment, a part of the leaf is enclosed in a test tube, and that test tube was containing KOH, while the other half is exposed to air, and that setup was placed in light for some time. It was later found out that part of the leaf which was exposed to air, it tested positive for the starch. This indicates that light is essential for photosynthesis, oxygen is liberated in photosynthesis, water is essential for photosynthesis, because in KOH soaked leaf starch synthesis does not occur as water react with KOH and become unavailable. Carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis because in KOH soaked leaf starch synthesis does not occur. 7th question. Joseph Priestley, he observed that when mouse alone was placed in bell jar, it was suffocated and burning candle extinguished. But when mouse was placed with the plant, the mouse stayed alive. Candle continued to burn. What do you conclude from this experiment? Next question. The scientist who discovered oxygen, you know the answer. Ignihouse did an experiment with an aquatic plant and concluded that, okay, Ignihouse, what was the main purpose? What was the main aim? Next, that is question number 10. Okay, this is question number 10. that one scientist captured cladophora, okay, in a suspension of a bacteria and illuminated the culture by splitting light through a prism. There was one scientist who did this very interesting experiment. He observed that bacteria accumulated in the region of, just we finished this, okay, sunlight is essential for plant, okay. This was concluded by, you know this answer. Who concluded this? Who provided evidence that in green parts of the plant, glucose is produced and stored as a starch? That is why I told you scientists are important. The first action spectrum of photosynthesis was observed by who demonstrated that oxygen comes from water instead of from CO2 during photosynthesis by using purple and green bacteria in their experiment. So answer these 14 questions and I will wait for your answers and revise photosynthesis with me these days. Okay.